Hello to all, dear colleagues. As we all know that in the wake of COVID-19 outbreak, many universities around the world have moved students off campus and shifted courses online for the remainder of the semester. Now, transitioning from a classroom to an online video conference or virtual classroom is very challenging for everyone involved. Teachers have to take an extra effort to engage students effectively, while students in turn have to make an extra effort to stay engaged amid all kind of distractions at home. Now we have been trying since mid of last semester upon different approaches towards online teaching. And now we must agree that online teaching is a challenging task both way, and to effectively keep the students engaged is a necessity with it. There are a lot of online courses too for the teachers on how to teach in a virtual classroom, followed with a lot of research articles, videos, channels, blogs on the same. So one of the objective for our core committee was to prepare a summarized version upon teaching a virtual classroom and present few essential requirements while teaching online. This is the source reference of content for our presentation. So we use SkillNet's digital skill series on teaching and mastering a virtual classroom. There are some key terms and definitions from Wikipedia. The SkillNet digital skill series also offered a certification course as well to all faculty at the campus. We followed blogs and a few research articles on online teaching learning methodologies. And then we followed some YouTube videos as well. The agenda of this presentation is to cover the software and device requirements, just to give you a glimpse about these. And then there is an overview on online teaching learning modes and platforms we have already triggered within the last semester. And lastly, we'll talk upon organizing and conducting virtual classroom, where we will talk on preparing for virtual sessions, the essential components for the virtual classrooms, the effective engagement of students during online sessions, and the learning tools for this resource preparation. And then we have an additional attendance option which has come for Gmeet via the extensions which have been developed, and we'll talk upon that, followed by some demos. This is just a basic difference between video conference and virtual classroom. While video conference focuses upon the active interaction among users, business users for knowledge sharing, which is more agenda driven. Virtual classroom is more teacher controlled, and there is a teacher centric delivery where we deliver knowledge, and the agenda is to deliver the learnings, the content to the students with minimal infrastructure. So the device and software requirements, here are a few recommendations for the online, smooth online teaching learning. Sometimes it might happen that the platforms might get upgraded, or the like OS or some other tools which we are using for this online teachings got the versions update. And if we are not upgraded, if we have not upgraded our hardware or software for the version to be supported for, so there might be some issues in terms of like supporting features, or so some features might not be supported. So these are a few of the recommendations in terms of system OS for Windows 7, 8, 10. They are all supported system OS. Then we have memory, where minimal memory is 4 GB RAM. Then the supported browsers for this for the platforms, and we have to have a network connectivity along with the microphone and the built-in cameras for the smooth conduct of the lectures. This is the overview of the platforms and tools we have started with in the last semester. So we worked upon two modes, and we were introduced to asynchronous and synchronous mode of teaching. In asynchronous, we come up with Google Classroom, where everything which was meant to be broadcasted to the students in an offline mode, it was done using Google Classroom. We tried to upload all material offline, call it a handout, call it a snapshot of your handwritten notes. Then it could be a research article, a PDF file, it could be a presentation, could be a recorded presentation. So it could be a link, or it could be a MOOC platform video which you want to share with the student, or the link to that video. So any kind of material which we were supposed to share to the students in an offline mode, we went for Google Classroom. Along with the uploading of all content offline, in offline mode, we had also used the inbuilt features, like we can schedule using the calendar which is inbuilt in Classroom, the synchronous sessions. Then there is an option of creating the assignments, of creating quizzes, of creating homework for the students. And along with that, there was a feature of setting submission deadlines as well. And we can also use the inbuilt docs to create the exercises, or we can also like upload the already created quiz from our laptop to the Google Classroom. So there are all such features with Google Classroom, and which are already in practice by all of us. Then with synchronous, with Google Meet, we had the second mode, which is synchronous mode, and with Google Meet, we connected with the students in an online mode. Along with this, again, we had come with features like we could record the sessions so that the recording is available to the students who are not able to connect due to some technical issue or network issue. And then for the students who have connected as well, they can revise the lecture, they can relook into the recorded presentation. And then there was a facility of chat box where the instructor can like engage the students into a discussion kind of thing. And then we have share screen modes where we can also share the PPTs. So sharing from a single video to the entire screen was possible using this share screen method. So we could also share the whiteboard alternatives like Jamboard, or if somebody has some touch laptop, or there is a digipen digipad available, so we can also share that screen with the students, and we can give some step by step examples, and also invite students on the collaborative boards like Jamboard, and they can also join, and they can also write, and everything will be taken as snapshot, and it will be recorded, and then it can again be shared in an offline platform like Google Classroom. So these were the modes we had come up with. Along with that, along with these modes, we had additional methods like we had already we were working with the students WhatsApp group, so we followed that method as well. We worked upon Google Groups email. Then we also had Google Drive links which could be shared with the students, where we had uploaded all the material to be downloaded by them, and then they can go through the topics, through the content which has been shared to the student in the form of audio, images, video, and then PPTs again. So every kind of content can be uploaded upon this Google Drive link. So this was the overview. We had come with these platforms, and for the upcoming semester as well. So we are not going to switch to a new platform as of now. So we can continue with these platforms for our content delivery in the next semester courses. This is just a recap how to create the class with the Google Meet. So we, as we said, we can schedule the Google this Meet using Google Calendar. We can access, and we can then log in with our domains, the PEG domain, and then we can schedule this complete session. And while scheduling the sessions, we can enter the title of the session. We can mention, we have to actually mention the date and time so that students are well aware that this online session is going to happen for this particular course. And then we add conferencing to generate a link. There is an option to add the session objectives as well. So once we are already prepared as an instructor that this is the learning objective which is going to come from this particular session, so while conducting or while scheduling this online session with the students, I can always add my objective, so that student is also well aware that from this particular session which is to be taken up in online mode, so this is the learning objective which we will be covered up for this topic. And also we can attach files. So this is a very nice feature when we schedule, and we can, along with the objectives, attach the files. So this feature can be well utilized when you are taking your course in flipped classroom mode. And suppose you want your students to be ready with some understanding of the key terminologies, key concepts, or some like requirement is there for your discussion topic in the upcoming session. So you can always attach these files. You can share your prerequisite in the form of, again, the video, the audio, your handwritten note, or any kind of content you want to share with the students. right? In the form of as a reference file, you can just attach, and then you can engage with your students while having an online session. And this could also fulfill the objective of a flipped classroom teaching. Then there is invite and share. We can invite the students, we can copy the conference link and then share this link to the students using WhatsApp groups, email, which is already in place, we have been using with. So this is a recap. Then we have to talk upon students' training requirements when it comes to online teaching learning. So student on the other side have to be well aware. They should have all the clear instructions while joining a virtual classroom. So how they have to attend this complete session. So the students have to be trained upon that. So the students, how they are going to join already, most of, even all of our students, they are ready with this already. It is already in practice with all the courses and all the instructors, so they know to join a virtual classroom. Now giving attendance is another thing we can train the students for, because as I'll tell in the upcoming slides, what are the different options to go for attendance when you are taking a synchronous session. So we can talk of this training as well. Then there is there is a facility of using the polls, using the forms. So we have already seen Google Forms, so they can be used. And how they are have to be used by the students, they have to be trained upon them. These polls, these forms might contain some questions from your session, from your topic, or they might have some feedback about the topic or the content delivery or anything like that. You can always share with the students and get their feedback, their answers to your queries, etc. And then you have to train students for the sharing screen as well. Like suppose you have given some exercises and now you want your student to share their screen, and then either they have to explain it live while having that online session, or they can just share the snapshot of their solution or so. Along with this, online etiquettes is very important for students, and it comes as a training for them. They should be well aware of using all the online features which are available with the online tools in a well mannered way, so that there is a smooth delivery of content to all the students in an effective way. There is a chat feature. So how the chat feature has to be used is to be trained to the student. Sometimes while you are into your session delivery or so, few students might get into unnecessary chat or so. So you have to take care of that as well. And then how you're going to use, how the students are going to use the different types of media files, they have to be trained for that. So these training requirements are essential for the students, and an instructor can give the clear instructions about all these requirements according to their course or according to their need. Now let's start with the components of preparing a virtual classroom. There are three important components which are very important for the preparation when you are going to take your class in an online mode. The first component is to set the learning objectives for the session. Second is to prepare and structure the learning resources. And third is to plan the participant engagement. Let's have a look upon these components one by one. Firstly, we have to understand that as soon as we are to conduct some session with the students, we are already prepared. We have already prepared the students with defined learning objective for every session. So the students are well aware in advance that this is the objective for this particular session, for this particular topic, and at the end of this, I'm going to come up with these outcomes from the session. So for these, if you have any preparation resources, you can share with the students. This is one of the practice while setting the learning objectives, and prepare the students for these learning objectives. So as I said, in Google Meet, Google Calendar, there is an option to attach files for prerequisite, or there is an option to write your objectives. So we always should use those features and share any kind of preparation or any kind of such learning objective from a particular session with the students, and set the prerequisites if we have any for that particular session. The second component is to prepare and structure the learning resources. So structuring can include a number of methods, like we can have handwritten notes, the videos, the images, the annotations. These annotations can come on a PDF file, on any HTML file. It could be on your presentation, so that the complex terminology, or it is sometimes like you want to give a detailed explanation for any keyword, so you can annotate, and while annotating you can refer to any video or any Wikipedia page, or any definition from any like source from the web, any web source, or you can also annotate your presentations as well. So different methods are there where you can use the annotations, the other methods to structure these learning resources. The second way out is to prepare yourself with exercises and problem statements in advance. So when we are running through some synchronous session, so instead of verbally asking a question and then making the students like uh, sometimes like all the students can all together, they can unmute and start speaking, and there could be a lot of disturbance in the synchronous session. So in order to avoid that problem, we can always be ready with some like learning tool resource preparation, like we have Google Forms or Google Docs, and we can create one or two or three questions from that particular session we have to take in online mode, and then we can post this question, this exercise for some workout. And these could be done both way, like the exercises and the questions can be posted after some time of your session delivery, say half an hour you have done with your content delivery, and then you have posted one question or exercise for some workout, or you have shared your again your white screen with the students, and you have given some diagram for explanation. And there are many more like methods which again could be instructor specific, and we can go with these exercises which are already in hand with us. Then there are reference pointers which can always be used to structure the learning resources. You can use the reference pointers in the form of like specific pages from textbook you can refer to. You can use additional reference resources, and you can also use web links or videos from the other sources as well. So these are all methods to structure the learning resources, and they have to be prepared well in advance, so that while running into an online session we are ready with all these things, and then we can always like try to keep the students engagement into the session, and then post all these exercises and questions to them periodically. So student engagement is very, very important, and it's important to engage with the student, and it depends upon the preparation. As we said, we have to be well prepared. So there are some strategies which we will talk for the students engagement. We can post a question and ask one or all the students to answer through chat. This is one of the like possibility or the strategy we can go with. So this could help the students to be connected, to stay alive on these lectures, to be current with the ongoing session, and this could make their learning more effective. Another way is to have one student to summarize the session after every section. So this could also lead to effective learning of the student, and every student will be actively engaged into the sessions. One student could be summarizing the session, and we can switch among students, like after say one from a topic, one module has been covered, there were three modules, so after one module coverage we can ask the student for this complete summarization for that particular module. We can share a short quiz after logical segment of the session as well, in the form of again Google Docs, polls, or there could be forms as well. So these are strategies, and we'll continue on some more tips and strategies for this effective student engagement, which is an important or essential part of this presentation. So the key lesson here is that we have to rethink upon the lecture formats as well. And while looking into the lecture formats, so we have to understand that whenever we are doing this online lecturing with any platform, so we can have different methods, or we can have different tools, and we are making these tools to be used by students in an efficient way, and engage them, and it could also give us the understanding that whatever has been discussed in the course has been taken up by the students as well, and students will be encouraged to stay connected with the online content, with the instructor, and they will study regularly as well. So research study also shows that the repeated quizzing can improve the student outcome as well. So this as I said, remote learning requires very high level of motivation and focus, as well as organization. So there must be something we have to do for maximizing this student engagements, and we should also ensure that every student has the same access to the material which we are sharing with the students. Now, the first strategy is to engage the students by segmenting lectures into shorter sequences rather than going for a lecture at a stretch. So the short lecture segments, they focus on a particular topic, and it always allows the students to direct their attention to one concept, and then they can rewatch as well, they can take break as required. So when we are doing these live lectures, so it's very easy for us as an instructor to mimic this by pausing some breaks in between, by summarizing the key points, and then again by putting some questions to keep the students engaged. So this is one of the strategy. The second strategy is to check comprehension by asking questions that test whether student understood the key lesson in short lecture segment or not. So whenever we place the exercises in between the lecture segments, it actually serves as a learning and assessment tool. So instructors are able to know that what students have learned, and students also practice to apply the concept which has been taught in the lecture. So these exercises, they always offer some detailed answer explanations to provide some feedback, and we can also correct the students here if they are learning a concept incorrectly. So these frequent exercises can give the students more opportunity to apply every lecture material they have gone through. So this is very, very important. The third important strategy is to walk through step by step example, because when we have shifted these online courses, we have shifted towards this mode. So student does not ever get the benefit of opportunity to interact in small discussion groups with other students, with peers, or with the teaching assistants, so that they see some challenging problem, or they see that the concept has worked out step by step. So this is very, very important, and the worked examples, they are always an effective way for the non-experts, call it students, who have to learn the concept. And teachers also should take this as a challenge, and now as an instructor, we should keep some of our time, and we will make students to practice the exercises or the problems which are similar to their assignment problem, or the quiz problems or so. So the instructors, like, if we are working from home without any board, so we can use some tablet, some digipen, digipad, or some tool, whiteboard alternative tool to record, and then we can always have a step by step execution, step by step explanation of that working method, of that working example, and then we can show it to the students, we can share it with the students. The last strategy is to maximize access to material for all the students. So we already said that in order to achieve this, the best way is to record all the sessions, all the instructions, and so that all the students can watch or rewatch the same. And whenever we are presenting, we should also ensure that we are putting some images or graphics for students who have sometimes low visibility or so. So the diversity of student has to be seen here. Then continuing to more tips and strategies for this online teaching learning, let's talk upon some strategies here. The clear expectations. So you have to clarify whenever you are available for the students to take upon the queries, and how quickly you are going to respond. So in order to avoid any kind of conflict, like in terms of, because a student has to undergo around 5 to 6 courses a semester, and there could be like 5 to 6 instructors with whom they have to keep interacting throughout the semester for their assignments, for their the other things, for content and for synchronous sessions, etc. So you should be very well like clear in the instructions that these are the timings I'll be available, and we could help the students as well, and to establish some behavior and interaction norms by giving these clear instructions. And we should clearly tell our expectations to the students. We could also help the students for to plan ahead by scaffolding some major assignments, because now we are using a variety of instructional techniques which could help the student to move progressively towards the stronger understanding of the concept, and ultimately there will be a greater independence in the complete learning process. So we have to understand this, and then we can have the major assignments which can help a student to plan in advance for the content, for the topic. Then the fourth strategy is to clarify any specific expectation which is unique to you as an instructor. For example, if you are taking a flipped mode teaching course, so you could communicate certain resources in advance for discussion to the student, because you want that these have to be like understood and well aware for within this they are to be well the students have to be well aware of the key terminologies, and then you have to share all this content with the students in advance. What is essential for the forthcoming semester? So it has been decided that for the coming semester we are going to record all the synchronous sessions, especially to run a course in online internal mode, so that it is available for all students who want to revise the lecture, and also those who were not able to connect due to some technical or network issues. So we have to record all the sessions and keep all the sessions on a drive or Google Drive. Another strategy for establishing active online presence on instructors' part is that we have to show our presence, that we are equally active on this online teaching learning platform. So as soon as we are going to trigger with this online semester with new courses and with new students, so we can we can trigger this by creating a personalized welcome to the class announcements using Google Classroom. And into the personalized welcome, we can always be able to get we can always make the students get to know about the course objectives, the learning outcomes from the course, and maybe we can talk upon different components of evaluation. If other than standard evaluation components, suppose other than midterm and term quizzes assignments, we have some other mode of evaluation specific to an instructor, we can always talk upon that. So this way we can create an interaction, we can trigger an interaction among our class, among the teacher and the students for a particular course. Then as we said that we have to establish some weekly virtual office hours, we have to ensure our availability for the students either from office or from home. So we have to be available for students query and other things, and show our activeness on these discussion boards, and we can use announcement, we can have synchronous meetings at least once a week for any course, and we can also use some specific examples. So when we are commenting on a student's assignment, on a student's work, and if we try to put a specific example, then we should always share this with the whole class, so that that is available for peer to peer learning as well. From one peer, the second peer can learn, and then they can get engaged into their discussion, like students can interact among themselves, so they should be given that opportunity on the discussion boards. They should be allowed, and the students can actively participate with each other as well, which could again lead to this peer-to-peer learning environment. Another important strategy is to provide a wrap up every week, and this could also help the student, as well as it will also help the instructor. Like students could easily revise or rethink upon all the content which has been taken up, the topics which has been taught by the instructor in a week in 3 lectures or so. And then instructor can also come to know by this wrap up and asking some frequent questions or some random questions from the topics from the content, to know that if a student has come up with all the students or majority of the students, they have come up with the content understanding also. So wrap up can be very beneficial for the topics we have covered weekly. Then again, we have to understand the diversity of students, and we can always use different styles as well. We can refer to any video lecture, we can have access to recorded lectures, notes, and other sources. So these are few strategies to establish active online presence on instructors' side. Now, let's talk upon the resources, the learning resources. As we all talk upon the effective engagement of the students, the different strategies we can go ahead for engaging the students. Now, the different tools, the learning resources which are available to make this implementable, like all the strategies we have learned. So we should implement them using the learning resources which are already in place. We have Google Forms, Google Slides, Google Docs, then we have Google Spreadsheet and Jamboard, and many extensions are there, and we can use these to create the forms to capture the contact details, the online tests, the feedback quizzes, and we can have the polls for attendance as well. We can prepare the material using this for the engagement of class. So there is Google Slide, which can always help you to create your slides with some transcripts auto generated from your Google from your slides as well, when you are recording or when you are presenting those slides, and then you can reuse those slides. Then you have store and analyze response facility, which is there with all these options. You can always download, you can always store any kind of response you have, like try to try through these docs, these forms, and you can also analyze the response. It could be in a graphical way, or it could be in any Excel format or any other format. And we can always prepare the material in the form of docs, in the form of PDF, in the form of Excel or PowerPoint presentations. And email is another tool which we can use to share the prerequisite. Now, as I said, there are multiple attendance options. We can go with Gmeet. So there are some proposed like methods of taking the attendance, though the instructor is flexible to go with any of the mode, or like for the synchronous sessions, we can use Google Form and we can share the same in the chat box. Similarly, we can have Google Classroom where there is an option of classwork where we can create the attendance and we can share that in advance or in between the lecture, in the mid of the lecture. We can use Google Meet attendance extension. As I said, there have been extensions which have been designed already in place by the developers for Chrome. So we can use those extensions for Google Meet attendance with Google Meet. Then we can also use spreadsheet and again share it. Already this spreadsheet will have all the like we can also share this at the start, mid, or at the end of the lecture. Then there is asynchronous mode possibility where we can post weekly assignments for the shared content and we can set some deadlines. So these are some of the options with Gmeet. We can go ahead, though the attendance like compulsion of 75% or so, which is according to the guidelines, has not been imposed yet for this online teaching learning. But we should always make a practice to at least uh, make the students motivated to attend all these synchronous sessions as well. So we can opt for any of the option, and then we can have clear instructions with the students regarding this. And there is, as I said, we'll have some demos at the end of this. So I'll just run through these slides, and then we can have a demo upon Google Slide, Google Forms, and other attendance meet as well. So Google Slide creates Google Slides for any topic, and you can also open and run the already prepared slides. So here is the facility of use voice speaker notes, along with a few more features like there is an inbuilt Q&A tool to create discussion forum, an inbuilt pointer for diagram explanation. Then there are easy to use features like dictionary, then inserting some audios, videos from web or drive, etc. Google Forms can help you to create small quizzes. Already, it has been into practice from the last semester. We have been using this for some assignments or so. Then we can create attendance form as well. We can use the response sheet and we can download them in Excel sheets, the data. And also, we can add questions or import the questions as well from a file, or like any image can be added or video can be easily added. Gmeet attendance option, as soon as you will go to Google and you will search upon Google Meet attendance options or extensions, so you will get this page. And here you can see there are three options which have been designed by the developers as an extension to be used along with the Google Meet. There is Meet Attendance, Google Meet Attendance, and this one is also Google Meet Attendance. So when you click on any of these, so you will be asked to add this to Chrome, and then you can add to Chrome, and this Google Meet attendance sign will appear into your browser window as soon as you start this. So when you start a synchronous session, it will become active, and then it will appear as I'll show in the demo in the upcoming like after these slides are over. So this is the Google Meet attendance option which we are available with. So these are all options with for the learning resource material to prepare all the material. So let us all try to focus upon bringing the same energy, the same passion, and the engagement from the physical classroom to this virtual classroom as well. And student is able to pick up on this energy, and also it is going to set an important foundation for effective learning. So let's try to make the students actively participate into these online teaching learning classes. So this was the objective for the presentation. We have to follow different strategies, though they are very simple. And by following them, we can always ensure active participation from the students as well. And this will also lead to an effective, efficient learning outcome on students' side as